My name's Dustin Berg, and I'm a founder and executive director or CEO of Global Opportunities Unlimited, also known as Go Unlimited. And so we're a nonprofit organization. We started in 2005 with the mission to create outdoor activities for people with disabilities.
So you've been around for 20 years.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Crazy. Congrats on that. Can you tell me a little bit about how you guys got started? Was it just you who had an idea? How did you decide, what pushed you into, I want to create a nonprofit and do all this work?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to college and I was going to school for civil engineering, and I was in a motorcycle accident while I was going to UNM, and that was traumatic. I got a spinal cord injury, which totally changed my life, the way I did outdoor recreation, because then I had to use a wheelchair going forward. Went through months and months of rehab in the hospitals and, very intense stuff. And then went back to school, went back to work, I was doing computer aided drafting and going to school again for civil engineering. But I was sitting in school, and I was sitting at work, and I was sitting at home, and I was just dying for my outdoor passion. I love the outdoors. I always have. So it was like a major missing element in my life. And it's like, what am I going to work for? What am I going to school for? I can't even go and enjoy camping on the weekend or fishing or, bike riding or any of the stuff I love. And I tried to team up with other organizations that were kind of, dabbling in skiing and stuff. And I had all these ideas about, we could go do more and we could go explore other kinds of adaptive outdoor activities. And I wasn't really getting anywhere. Nobody really seemed to want to adopt me. So I was like, well, I don't really have an option. I've got to do something. And I was going to support group meetings with other people who have spinal cord injuries. And I was meeting other people that were in the same situation, and they're dying to go do something outdoors and trying to be active. And it was just an obvious need. And so out of necessity, me and a few friends got together and started a nonprofit organization and just started like that, just grassroots, and kind of rallied together and gathered up enough money to buy a few fishing poles and go take the kids from the children's hospital fishing and do a barbecue. Nice. Yeah. And just, that's how we started.
So did you start with the idea that you were going to do youth programming and infrastructure projects? You've done so many things just since I've known you, this short little time. I think you were one of the first OEF recipients and Trails Plus recipients. So you've been taking advantage of the state opportunity for funding to get kids outside and to create accessible infrastructure. So tell me a little bit more about that vision and how you started to kind of evolve from a few fishing poles to where you're at now.
Yeah. So mission has been, kind of wide open. Our mission, we set it up to be, we help people with compromised mobility. So that's kind of a wide, vague statement to help people with disabilities that need help, So, and it's to help them with outdoor sports and recreation. And so, and then our motto is adapt, overcome, succeed. So we've set it up in a way, and then our name is Global Opportunities Unlimited, So it's so we could basically do anything to help people with disabilities go outdoors anywhere, right?
Yeah.
And that was done purposefully. We wanted to be able to not be limited. We wanted to be able to adapt with the times, because things are constantly changing. Technology is evolving, society is, evolving, and things are changing. So we want to be able to change with the time. So when, so we started out doing the fishing programs, and then And then we're meeting with the groups of people and they're talking about they're interested in mountain biking or something. Well, we can go in that direction too. You know, that's we're not limited by any of our founding documents or our name or anything like that. So when the New Mexico Outdoor Recreation Division started in New Mexico, we were thrilled because it's the biggest barrier, the hardest thing that we've found in this 20 years of doing this nonprofit business is getting the funding to do this really cool stuff. It's you know, there's people, they have it in their hearts, they want to do good things. There's the opportunities are there, the outdoors are plentiful in our state, but getting the money for the technology, um, the infrastructure has been a massive lacking element that we've noticed, and so when Outdoor Rec Division started, we were super thrilled. And then it's like, well, okay, this opens up a whole new set of opportunity um, to expand on some of our existing programs. Like the Outdoor Equity Fund has been very helpful with the kids fishing programs. So like we've been able to really expand our fishing and boating and aquatic education components into our programming, which has been sweet. And then Trails Plus, being more infrastructure oriented, we've been able to like say, okay, we've got adaptive mountain bikes, which are great. They're opening up this world of opportunity, like exponential opportunity, because they go 30 miles of like mountain bike trails. But okay, what is the limiting factor with an adaptive mountain bike? And it's like, okay, it's infrastructure, it's access points, it's like 10 feet of trail that could be modified slightly that would open up 10 miles of trail. So we started to build that into our organization as another component of what we do. We went and learned about the ADA and the ABA and took some certification courses, and we really started to try and align ourselves with like access initiatives so that we could take what ORD is doing with Trail Plus and put it into practice in our outdoor trails and infrastructure areas.
It's been really exciting to look through your like portfolio of ORD grants. So you guys have been awarded over $350,000 since the ORD was established. And I think it really speaks to the quality and the creativity in the programming that you're offering, because it catches our eye year after year. I'm curious, how big is your team and what kind of other positions do you guys have on your team? Are you like the jack of all trades doing everything, or is there, board members that are kind of assigned to X, Y, and Z? Can you tell me a little bit about the structure of Go Unlimited?
Yeah. So I am a jack of all trades. Like, that we don't have a big team. We don't have the funding to like pay for a big team. We need it. That's a hard step to take. Like we haven't quite figured out how to take that next big step. I don't know if it's like through politics or leadership or what, like, but we haven't been able to quite make that big jump to where we could hire a couple other grant writers, or just some administrative support, or social media. Like we literally are like running on, I work full time. I write grants. I drive trailers. I drive boats. I fix bikes. I can kind of do everything. Um, and then we rely heavily on volunteers. So a lot of the people that volunteer are also people with disabilities. So they benefit from the programs. They benefit from the use of the equipment, and they're willing to also work on bikes, and they're also willing to help fundraise or plan meetings. Like we have monthly meetings, and we also do peer support for like people with new injuries, and try and help them get back into work and school and all the things that you need to enjoy the outdoors on a foundational level. So we get a lot of people doing that. A lot of, our team is probably 30 or so people that are pretty regularly active. We work with a lot of fishing guides, a lot of boat people, a lot of landowners, hunting guides, mountain bike associations. We try and collaborate as much as possible to try and spread to make this stuff possible. I mean, it's the only way we can do it. So it's like a truly like a grassroots big group of people kind of coming together to make it happen. There's not like it's definitely not a get rich program. You know, this is like a lot of work. The reward is the experience, you know.
Yeah.
And then our board. So our board is a really cool group of people. Very proud of. Like we've built a board that we've got like people in wheelchairs, different types of disabilities on our board. And then also like different kinds of professional experience. So like one of them's a patent and trademark attorney, also in a wheelchair. He actually did our patenting and our trademarking for free. So that's great. Michael Murphy, shout out. And then we've got another lady she's on our board, and her husband also volunteers and helps with the fishing program. And she's an RN, kind of semi-retired, a lot of experience with the healthcare system. Cindy, Cody Longley, another really good guy on our board who's very experienced in construction. Or yeah, like his outdoor experience is great with everything from cycling, trails, biking, fishing, hunting. And then he also has the professional experience with construction and building and running equipment and operating and team building. So he's very good at all of kind of everything too. Another good jack of all trades. Rebecca Dutton's a board member, and she's a doctor at UNM. So she specializes in adaptive sports medicine. Well, sports medicine with like kind of an offshoot of adaptive sports medicine. So kind of the physical component of like exercise and outdoor recreation and all of that being essential for like a healthy lifestyle, you know. Alan, who retired, he's not as active as much anymore because he just moved to England, but he's always been helping. He was part of Rotary Club and very good at networking and very helpful with writing grants. Good person, great person. And just, yeah, it's a big team.
You guys have a really interesting spread of individuals who are working together behind the scenes to focus on different aspects of Go Unlimited. And I think that's really powerful. You know, you've got people who are tapped into all these key spaces where I think it's really important for people to have that lens, you know, the adaptive needs in those spaces. So I think that's really, you've been really intentional, it sounds like, about creating your board. And also about creating a space to build community.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, being a part of the community with like the disability community is very helpful for a person that's going through these challenges, because you're going to learn so much from other people, and you're going to gain access to so much. There's so much equipment, and there's so much out there, not just for outdoor recreation, but for like driving around your house, and you know, in your garden, or you know, with your life. Like you have to adapt the way you do things. So yeah, people connecting with the community is like essential. So that's why we spend so much time on that effort. You know, like literally yesterday I was meeting with a guy at the hospital who just got a spinal cord injury riding his mountain bike in Angel Fire. Like hit a pothole and fell off his bike and got a spinal cord injury. It's like it can happen to anybody, anywhere, kind of anytime. It's one of those big minority groups that anyone can join. When we first started and we were like taking kids fishing, that was like what we could do. You know, that was, we could gather hamburgers, hot dogs, fishing rods, bait, tackle, and do it. But as we grew and we became more, I guess, not competent, but like capable, with a bigger group and more organization, we started to realize like, okay, not only is it important to help people go fishing or go mountain biking, but there's a lot of steps in between getting injured and going mountain biking in Angel Fire. And so that's where we thought, well, we can't just address the mountain biking in Angel Fire. That's not fair. We need to address, like, how do we get this guy from the hospital back to living his life, being happy, or he or she or whoever, being happy, going to school, being able to do stuff with their family, whatever it is they're interested in, going back to work, because those are all the things that they need to be able to go and take the next step, and then start to go and venture out and go further, and then go mountain biking, and then hopefully travel the world or whatever their dreams are.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're really trying to help empower people, like to equip, empower, and support people, kind of a wraparound service that you guys offer as a nonprofit.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like we kind of coin the term all the time, the continuum of life. Like this is an ongoing process.
Can you talk a little bit about outreach and how you guys are finding people and getting, especially like youth, what are your connections and how are you finding families that, have a child that would benefit from the programs that you guys offer?
Yeah. So we reach out to a lot, we reach out to a lot of the different organizations. Like we have a grant project going right now where it's a youth fishing project up in the Four Corners region. So we've got a trip planned with Big Brothers Big Sisters. That's a group up there. We just try and reach out to those different, youth organization groups. Tribal Adaptive's a really cool one up there in that area. The Carrie Tingley Children's Hospital, we try and work with them a bunch. We're actually taking a bunch of kids fishing on Sunday here in town at Isleta Lakes, close to Albuquerque. So we just try and network as much as possible with the youth groups around the state, and then hope that social media does its job. That's where we could probably do a little bit better, because that's such a valuable tool nowadays, to connect people, such a direct line of communication available. So yeah, we do as much as we kind of can, spread brochures around. Yeah, just networking.
Yeah, you guys show up a lot. And I think showing up is half the battle, in many ways.
Totally. Yeah. Like if there's some sort of a show, we really try and make a point of being there, setting up a booth, hosting monthly meetings, inviting everybody, building a bigger, broader email list to invite people to things, working with, we're always trying to work with all the hospitals. So like Encompass or Carrie Tingley or UNM or Loveless, hopefully more Presbyterian Horizon. But yeah, just networking and showing up, you're right. Very important.
You guys are based in Albuquerque, but you do programming, you said in the Four Corners area. What about the southern part of the state, or even just, the more rural areas like eastern New Mexico and southwestern New Mexico? Are you guys networked with anyone, or do you have the capacity to start building Go Unlimited as like a full statewide initiative?
Yeah, I mean, we've done a lot of stuff kind of everywhere, like out at Ute Lake. If you're familiar with the Ute Lake by Logan, New Mexico, kind of north of Tucumcari, eastern New Mexico. Really kind of a cool lake. Pretty awesome, very full of water, which is rare these days.
Yeah.
We ran our whole boating program out of that lake for a long time, and we had some access to some ranches, and we did a lot of stuff out there back in, gosh, it's been a few years since we moved to Navajo. And then we have another boat that we have at Angel Fire right now that we're thinking about moving to back to Ute Lake to try and do that again, because there is not a lot out in eastern New Mexico. Western New Mexico, like Blue Water Lake, Gallup, the Zunies, Mount Taylor. we've spent quite a bit of time doing different kinds of, mostly like hunting and fishing stuff out there. Southern New Mexico and the Gila. Uh, there's a lot of, I love the Gila. There's a lot of opportunity. We haven't really built much other than kind of assisting a few people on hunts down there.
That's fantastic. So you guys are
Yeah,
even doing hunting. I didn't realize that.
a little bit. It's like a smaller component of what we do because uh, one of the things we do is we work with the New Mexico Department of Game and Fish. And so we help them reallocate hunting permits. So when there's someone that draws a hunting permit and they can't use it, they return it to Game and Fish, and then we help them for free give that tag to like a veteran or a first responder or a youth person in our state, so that they have that opportunity. And then we help a little bit here and there because we're trying to incorporate this adaptive like technology, like cycles, these adaptive cycles, to incorporate them as a tool, not just for cycling, but as like a mobility device to actually be able to do a really cool hunt, like be able to get out and off the road and out into the nature and get the experience, because the experience is what's the experience, and the harvesting of the healthy meat is what we're kind of all about.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, we're big on like cooking and food and diet and eating and exercise, and hunting fits within that prescription, you know.
Let's talk about the expense of some of this equipment. I mean, you told me once something about a bike and the cost, and it kind of blew my mind.
Yeah, so like the equivalent of like a good mountain bike that you would use for riding around the mountains, not like top of the line. What's like a good mountain bike, you would say? Maybe what?
I think 3 to 4 is probably like the mid-range.
Yeah. So that like equivalent in adaptive used is probably like 16 or 17.
That's
So
what a
it's
lot of
terrible.
people are paying for a used car
Yeah.
to get
Oh, no.
around day to day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's a very difficult thing. Like I think sometimes people don't quite understand like the difficulty that is associated with living like a seriously mobility compromised life.
Yeah.
And then a wheelchair, there is no bike that you're riding. Like you're going to a 3-wheeled cycle, and that thing is going to be at a minimum. Yeah, they're very expensive. At a minimum, with no suspension, 15 years old, 10 years old, kind of beat up, pretty rough. And that's like what you're getting for that kind of money, which is crazy. And that's on top of like mountain biking is a luxury
Right.
right? In a
Right.
sense. I kind of disagree with that, but it is. And like a vehicle, like a wheelchair accessible van, like we're not talking like a 4-wheel drive, you know, diesel truck. We're talking like a van to get in and out of $90,000, just your basic like, van with some modifications. So it's very difficult for people with disabilities to like get all that type of stuff figured out.
So where do people go to find resources for these kinds of things? I've heard that there are some, grant programs. I've heard about some legislation that was passed to make certain equipment something that can be billed through insurance. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's two really good grant programs that will serve individuals. So an individual can apply for their own grant to get their own like sports adaptive equipment. The Kelly Brush Foundation they're awesome. They're wonderful. And they're a national organization, and they'll help people purchase, or sometimes they'll outright purchase the whole piece of equipment for them, depending on whatever their criteria are. But they're great. But they'll pay for like wheelchair basketball chairs, skiing setups, hand cycles, some of this adaptive mountain biking stuff, any kind of like adaptive equipment that people need to get active. So they're great. Challenge Athletes Foundation is another one. So we're always trying to help people. We're always pushing that too. Like when the grant cycles are open, we're sending out that information, we're posting it. And then if anybody needs a letter of support or anything like that, we're also there to help them with their grant process. And that, because that's key. Yeah, it's a shame when they have to wait for an organization or be a part of a big group, when this is stuff that people should be able to do on their own time, after work, before school, whatever. More than, at least once a week or something.
Yeah.
Recently there a piece of legislation passed, I want to say it was House Bill 38, like a wheelchair technology. It's basically, it changes the way that the state managed health insurance will, what their definition of what they will cover. So before this legislation, it was like very basic, like you get your wheelchair or your like basic amputee adaptive prosthetic, and with this piece of legislation that we helped with is it expands the definition of what would be covered. So it would include complex rehabilitation technology, which opens the door to like the stuff that people really need to really rehabilitate themselves, like to be active, to get out and do things, to get an attachment to their wheelchair that will enable their wheelchair to go over grass, and so they can participate in their son's soccer game, like some of that kind of basic stuff that really changes people's lives. Should, in theory, I'm really excited to see how this how this rolls out. But in theory, people should be able to get an extra prosthetic for riding a bicycle, or a wheelchair user getting a wheelchair attachment, or some of these pieces of equipment that insurance hasn't covered in the past. And I believe that will take effect in January. So
Is there any work that you or Go Unlimited as a group is doing legislatively? Are you guys involved and tapped into the legislative sessions and, getting up there and doing any testimonials or things like that?
I mean, we've done more supporting the outdoor recreation division's efforts, because the outdoor recreation division has really literally been one of the best supporters of this disability stuff in our state that we've seen in the past 20 years. It's crazy. It's making a huge difference. We will go to Disability Day, and we did receive some disability award or something. I think we're going to go to that here at some point. But sometimes there's like a big difference between the hoorah, and the actual making a difference. And so we participate as much as we can. So busy, like actually doing the stuff, that we can't waste our time either, like going up on a Tuesday morning and not accomplishing anything when we could have been doing something that has an impact, So I
Yeah.
would like, I'm trying to do a better job. I recently met with my district representative, which is Kathleen Cates, and I'm hoping that her and I can get some stuff going, because she did sponsor that bill for the complex rehab technology. So I'm trying to figure it out. I'm like, I've sent a bunch of letters to senators and representatives and stuff, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. But it's not like I feel like sometimes that's one of the things that's kind of disappointing, to be honest, just being frank. And it could be all my fault. I could be doing it wrong, but
It's not for
I
lack of
feel,
trying, that's for sure.
yeah, no, like I feel like I try pretty hard. Like I go pretty hard at all this stuff, and I will show up, and I'll be there, and I'll go to the office, and I'll write the letters, and I'll make the calls, and what people do with it is kind of what they do with it, I guess.
It's really disheartening when you don't get an answer and you're trying to make these, really important connections with the people who are, making our laws.
Well, yeah, because I think it is really pretty huge. The possibilities are great, and the end results are improved, healthier society that's motivated, that's working, that's paying more taxes, that's driving around, spending more money, going to school, contributing to society, you know, not taking away from Social Security as much because now they're actively involved in their community. They're not such a burden on the healthcare system because they're healthier.
I did want to ask one more question if you have time.
Yeah.
I just wanted to find out if there's, any other projects that are on the horizon, already funded or not, like what kind of things are happening and brewing in the background with Go Unlimited?
So we're inventing a lift, which we hope to release here in the coming weeks. It's been a crazy big project that we've been working on for 2 years that has definitely not, that has had its ups and downs,
Literally.
Yeah, because it was supposed to be done a while ago, but the potential, like if this does work out, like I think it's going to work out, it's going to be like a game-changing piece of equipment that has an application globally. Maybe we'll tap into our name finally,
Yeah.
We could also probably generate some revenue to help support the work and keep pushing the organization forward. That and like the trail assessment stuff too. We're trying to do more work with state agencies and do some really professional quality data collection, map production, trail assessment, and then help organize the teams of people that could actually do the ground truthing, the work, and assist in that whole process. So those type of things I think would be a very good part of our nonprofit company business model, because then we do have some sort of a sustainable revenue system that helps us just keep plugging along, and building the group and being ready and being in a position for when the next big kind of technology comes out or change or that seems to be a lot of it, is you need to be like in the right position when these things are coming out so that you can jump on them. We're doing that. That's a big push of mine right now. Like I'm really trying to work across the state and trying to work with other organizations. And we are providing ADA coordinator services, which is like an ADA consultation. But then we're also going above and beyond that and doing universal design and trail consulting and assessments and audits. So we can help you build like a trail that's not ADA, we could help build an ADA infrastructure, or we could help build stuff that goes above and beyond ADA or into the ABA. But something that's more, because right now, like the ADA, I think the latest revisions of their language is 2010. So kind of new, yeah, a lot of things have changed, So yeah, we are doing, sorry, long answer, but yes, we are doing that and we love doing it. And we're building a really wicked cool team. And we can't wait to show people some of the maps and the data and the stuff that we're collecting.
And who should people reach out to if they want to, learn more about Go Unlimited, get in touch about a potential project, or, get connected to your groups and services?
To me, they can reach out to Dustin at gounlimited.org.